everybody, how you doing? It's Linda G on a sprinkling outside day here in Northern California. And here we have Sterling.
Good morning. Good
Yay!
morning, everybody. Good to be back in the fold and in Linda's den. Yeah.
Linda's Den. We missed last month because I was in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. Having Chicago pizza, maybe. Did you have Chicago pizza
Oh,
there?
yes, it was delicious too.
Yeah.
We didn't get the deep dish. We got another kind, and it was very good.
Yeah, still world famous. I mean, I think New York holds their own for pizza and bagels, but Chicago definitely for what hot dogs and pizza definitely holds its own in the food category. Yeah.
We went to a place called Gibson's. Have you heard of them?
No.
Well, Julie and Dennis had a old fashioned. And they were brave. They said it was the best old fashioned. I remember when I was young, my dad would make old fashions, but it had the like almost black cherries, real dark cherries. And they said that's how you truly make, and they loved it. But the food was to die for. And I didn't order a steak because I can't really eat steak that well.
Mhm.
And Julie gave me a taste of her steak. It was like butter. It was unbelievable. And the people who worked there was so much fun. If I ever go to Chicago again, I'm going to Gibson's.
Oh, good, good. Whereabouts is that? I mean, just city
Like,
center or outside the
yeah,
city or okay.
downtown. And you got to make reservations way ahead of time.
I'll look it up. Yeah, next time I'm there, I'll look it up.
And we were so full that they said, "You sure you don't want dessert?" And I seen them walk by with a pie a la mode with ice cream, an apple pie a la mode. And it almost looked like a whole pie. That's how big it was. And I just thought, oh, I even felt a little nauseous. But in my younger day, I would have had that plus another one. Shoot.
There's
So I
always
just,
room for dessert. Yeah.
yeah, I just told Sterling that I'm going to go watch my grandson play baseball for the first time. I've watched him play soccer, but never baseball. And he said, "Who won last night? The Dodgers?" Or I said, "Oh, geez, I don't know. I used to go for the underdog, but if my skin isn't in the game, I don't watch." All right, sweetie, we got our questions. Dan typed them up, and your lovely assistant Linda and slash wife,
My wife and executive producer. Yeah.
executive producer, put it together, and we appreciate your hard work.
Yeah,
And
and as a footnote, the reason she does that, if people are new to your channel or our show together here, we do another show on YouTube, right? Sterling Psychic Medium, where I answer 50 to 80 questions every Sunday. So Linda just tries to make sure we're not duplicating all the questions,
exactly,
answering the
yeah,
same exact question. So yeah.
yeah, that's really good because I don't even pay attention sometimes.
Hmm.
Okay, so here we go. Are you ready?
Always ready. Yeah.
Okay. Question one. North Korea is sending more troops to Ukraine every day. How will the increased number of soldiers fighting on the Russian side affect the war?
Unfortunately for North Koreans, and North Korea's got a lot of problems, but those poor soldiers going in there are just it's a very bad situation for them. And I do see a lot of long-range missiles getting approved on behalf of Ukraine by 4 countries. So the long-range missiles going into Russia are gonna actually upset or tip the balance in the war.
Okay.
So the fact that North Koreans are going into Ukraine on behalf of Russia doesn't look like a big factor to me.
I actually felt when I heard it, I didn't get nervous. That's how I usually know. Uh-oh. I
Yeah.
felt like, yeah, it's going to be bad for the North Koreans.
Yeah, I actually just felt bad for the North Korean soldiers because they're being pushed in there against their will. I know they're underfed, much skinnier. They're not as nourished. It's not a good situation, you
And a
know.
lot of them are exiting stage left.
They are, yeah.
But you have to do it because the thing is, North Korea will take your family
Hmm.
if you leave. So, okay, here we go. Novani's wife has said she will run for Russian president when the time is right. Is she the next president?
don't see her as the next president. I know I've read on this even a couple of years ago. I saw two males coming in to take over from Putin. So the first one for like 6 months and more out of the military. And then the one that comes in after like the 6 month period is more moderate and tends to work with, the world a little bit better. But there's like, those are two men. So I don't see that Navalny's wife is the one that goes down the next round. I do think she's going to go in 15 years down the road, and maybe as much as 20. She's going to have a role in politics in Russia. She will.
She will. And the other thing I read on her the other day, and I was feeling a strong feeling of it's actually too much for her to just walk in and try to take over. There's
Mhm.
too much chaos. There's too much underhandedness.
Yeah,
I felt that she, unlike her husband, she's strong, but she's not as strong as he was. And I just feel energetically it'd be easier for her if she waited a little while.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Hello to both of you and your teams. I noticed Linda said she feels the election will not be close, but then I have heard Sterling say it will be very close. Where do you stand at this point, so close to the election?
My team has always said it's going to be one on the margin. So I think I looked at the Electoral College many months ago, even a year ago, and it looked like you need 270 to win. It looked like Kamala's going to get over like 280, but it looks like a real slog and a real push. And even though there was like 180 million people that voted in the last presidential election, I saw maybe 200, 220 million voting in this election. But it's like almost as many 45 voters as Kamala voters are coming out. So it's not that it helps swing it. It looks like it's going to be a tight election, is what my team is saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Still win.
respectfully have my own opinion, but
Yeah.
I've said for years now it's going to be a landslide. But I do feel like a place like Texas is going to hold it up. But
Mhm.
I feel it's a plethora thanks to Roe versus Wade and women coming out. It's almost that dynamic that Obama set forth. But
Mhm.
that's my opinion. I don't, he has his and I have mine, and November 5th, we'll find out.
Absolutely. All good. All
And
good.
I'll tip my hat to you, my friend.
Likewise.
But the main thing
Yeah.
is you say she's going to win.
Yeah, she'll absolutely win the popular vote and the Electoral College.
Thank
It's
you.
just with all the elements and yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
so we're
guys
all
don't
good.
worry. Sterling's saying it's a win. Okay. Will laws be passed in the USA to stop grifting like we've seen in the 45 family? Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, I don't see any real effective laws coming into play, but I what I do see is federal laws being strengthened that would prevent you from buying an election. So that's different, right? So
Yeah.
like the things that like Elon Musk is doing, I'll pay you $1 million if you sign up on these two, amendments or there's something going on with that. Like, so you can't buy an election, but if you're selling popcorn on the side and you're making millions of dollars, no, I don't see it. That's grifting. I don't see a big federal law coming in on that. No.
Or like Trump did about send us hurricane money and then didn't give a dime to the hurricane people.
Right, right. Well,
That's
and
blatant
there are
lying.
laws on the books for that, right? So that's stealing, right? So that's
Right.
theft, and there are laws for that. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll eventually come out. They just let him get away with so much.
It's a complete double standard.
Listen,
Absolutely.
I was just telling everybody yesterday, I said, do you guys remember what a big deal it was about Hillary using her own private, uh, what they call it,
A
her
server, her
email, her
email
server,
server. Yeah,
and
yeah.
how they pitched a fit and carried on? Then come to find out the whole Trump family does that. Not a word. You can hear crickets.
Right.
It's very unfair, but they will change that up. I
But
see.
they're saying right now we're really living under complete double standard. So
Yeah.
Kamala Harris has to execute perfectly, and 45 can actually execute any one of absurd lies or whatever he wants to bring up. And he's like the Teflon Don at this point. It doesn't matter what he
What he
says. So
says.
yeah.
Yeah, you'd send your child to school and they come out a different sex. Like
Mhm.
that's happening in the schools. Oh
Right.
my God. Okay, just heard a blurb about Newsmax and Newsmax having an October surprise on 45 that should end his career? Any ideas what that could be?
My team doesn't pick anything up of that kind. As a matter of fact, I don't. They've never even seen an October surprise. So whatever's going
I
on there
don't
with
know if it'll
Newsmax,
come out, but it's got nothing to do with sex. Yesterday, my guide said it's no, groping or anything like that. It feels like it's more to do with him faking that assassination attempt. But
yeah,
it's almost like they can't get it out. Like they want to get it out, but they can't. They're stuck.
yeah, I don't see anything coming up through. I guess you said Newsmax reported and Fox or something.
Newsmax, yeah.
Yeah, that will end his career. No, I don't see
Yeah.
anything of the kind. No, no.
It takes a lot to end his career. I don't care what it is. They say, don't believe your lying eyes.
I thought it was interesting as a footnote. I don't want to name a lot of names here, but a senior executive with NBC Universal that was responsible for the Apprentice show
Oh, I
with
saw that.
45.
Yes.
And but anyway, I want to be careful what I say here. But he did come on the news. He put out a book and he said he's sorry right now. He was a CMO for NBC Universal, chief marketing officer. And he said he's sorry that he put 45 in that light and made him look so successful because behind the scenes, they knew what a floppy was and what a
Yes.
failure.
And
And
he
so
feels terrible about rigging it.
that image that's out there now. Well, I think, he put it in his book. It's John Miller.
Okay.
He just released
I'll
a
have to get
book.
that book.
So yeah, and so he's very apologetic and kind of falling on the sword because now a lot of people are taking that image of 45 and they, oh, he's a successful businessman. He wasn't at all. Yeah,
But he said, I saw him on an interview, they couldn't get anybody else to do it. He was the only one that would do it.
that's very true. That's
And
very
then they built a boardroom
true.
to look nice because his place was a dump.
Right.
And they built a staging area. And yeah, they made him out to be a big shot, but Trump believed the old lies. He thought he was really something. Okay. Hello, Sterling and Linda. I know you have said that Texas Colin Allred will defeat Cruz. My question regarding the Texas Supreme Court, 3 of them are up for re-election and have taken part in rulings that support the state's extreme abortion law. Will any of them be defeated in this year's election?
I think whoever asked the question said there were 3 Supreme Court justices up. I don't see, I'm not getting it's that many. So there's a lot of statewide elections in Texas, but I don't get they're all for Supreme Court justices. I'm
Okay.
getting it might be 1 or 2. But I'm getting whoever goes back in is still as radical as what they had. So that is in terms of, a lot of the things they've been experiencing in Texas. So I don't get there's going to be a big change to more democratic or blue. It still feels very far right to me.
Interesting, because if they vote for Allred, they're saying they don't want these anti women's rights people. So that's interesting. They'll vote no on Cruz, but they won't vote no on.
It looks like on the judges, there's a kind of a different story there for some reason. Looks like it goes a lot deeper. Yeah.
Okay, some of them could have been in there forever, so we'll see. I'll have to look it up.
I do see, by the way, I do pick up payoffs here. So I don't know what's going on, but I don't know the
Yeah, they're
judges
very
there's
underhanded.
something going
That
on
makes
here.
total sense.
Because what I also see, they're showing me a lot of these judges locking arms. When you were kids and you locked arms,
Yeah.
together. I see like all these judges with locked arms. So that tells
And
me
Texas is famous for this. They cheat. I can still see
yeah.
cheating. Everybody's asking me, will Texas turn blue? And I never felt Texas really turning.
I don't see it. Yeah.
Florida, yes, but not Texas.
I see that as well. I see Florida.
And but part of it is because I think Beto won, but I think that AG stole all those votes to take them off. And he admitted he did it and was proud of it. So is 45 going to win Georgia?
I do see it. I do see it.
He's
Yeah.
going to win Georgia?
No, I'm sorry. A reverse. Sorry. Kamala. Yeah, I was thinking Kamala, but you were saying 45 the way the question was phrased. No,
Because when I asked it out loud, I saw Kamala, and then you said you saw.
Because I was thinking Kamala, but I know the question was 45. So yeah,
How
Kamala.
forget that he was even a president.
Yeah.
If Merrick Garland steps down or is replaced, will his replacement be a male or female?
I read on this months and months ago, and I still see it. It looks like it'll be a male. And what I pick up is Preet Bharara. he was the Southern District of New York attorney or whatnot, or so he was on CNN a lot as an anchor. Preet
Remember him.
Bahara,
Yeah.
yeah. It looks to me like that's who's
I
is
definitely
gonna
see
step in.
Merrick
Yeah.
stepping down, giving his
Yeah, and I think it's because out of exhaustion. What I get is like
yeah.
when the new
And
term starts,
also,
it's
but
like,
it was leaked that Biden called him a SOB. So
yeah, I just get it's exhaustion and he's had enough, and it's just time for a change. Yeah.
I don't know why, but my head, which is different than yours, but I respectfully submit, I feel female. I feel Kamala picks a dynamic female, but I could be wrong. You're usually right, so
No, well, it's based on the information flow that we're getting from our team. So
that's what I
I
felt
have to
like.
tell everybody I'm just a conduit.
You're just a
I don't
conduit.
a telephone or like they call
But
Star
I
Trek
trust your guys
communicator.
a lot because the reason I met you is because your wife said he predicted Trump was going to win. I said, what? That was back when he first won. And I said,
Yeah.
I've asked him 20 times different ways. He still sees it.
And actually, the very first session we ever did together, we did a phone call. I was running between meetings, and you said, "Just get on the phone and jump on the show." Because I said I can't do a Zoom, but I can get on the phone.
Okay.
And we actually talked about that time. That was 4 years before the election of Biden and Kamala. And at that time, and that I still have the tape of that phone call, as a matter of fact. And we were saying, "Who's going to win?" I said, "I see a tall, gray-haired man
Yes.
and a woman with dark hair." It looks like they're going to be the winner, and so it looks at that time looks like to be Biden. So yeah,
And
I
I
remember
saw a
we.
gray-haired man more towards when they were running, but
Mhm.
I could because remember Biden was kind of like low energy, so people weren't looking at him.
Right.
I kept thinking it was going to be Bloomberg.
Yeah, it looked like there was billions of dollars behind the candidate, so it looked like it could have been Bloomberg, right? Because there was like $1 billion reference. It turned out to be all the backing that Biden eventually got. So
Yeah, so I think he did a great job.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And we just did Merrick Garland. I'm getting anxious as we move closer to election night. Can your guys tell us anything about Arizona and Nevada? They seem to be real contentious at the moment.
What I get is looks like Nevada will go for Harris. It looks like Arizona will go for 45.
Oh, okay. But you don't feel Carrie Lake is going to win.
No, well, that wasn't in the question, was it?
No, but
Oh yeah.
Carrie Lake is their
No, yeah,
senator
no,
nominee, and I
yeah,
see
not
her losing by a
no,
landslide.
not a factor. As a matter of fact, probably for good reason, everybody, is kind of pander off to Crazyville. She's gone to Crazyville. I mean, I think even some of the hard right GOP are like, this is like too much for us. So,
Okay, because she's not allowed back at Mar-a-Lago,
right.
and he's not jumping on the bandwagon for her.
That's true.
Okay, Florida public schools are being crushed by the voucher stuff. Is that going to go away?
Not for a couple of years. So it looks like the voucher program is still going to be in effect to me for at least another 2 years, but it looks like it is going to shift over to more underprivileged families. So
Yes.
right now the voucher program is being abused for people using it for private schools, right?
Yeah.
So for some reason, it's like within 2 years, so like 2026, they somehow revamp that program so the more underprivileged families are utilizing it as something going on here.
It's something that's passed within the House, some sort of new law, like they can't do that with federal money.
Yeah.
So, I was raised to pray to God, Jesus, and even the Blessed Mother to intercede for me to Jesus, her son. I'm confused now. Do I still pray to God and one source, one force, and only ask spirit guides for assistance? It seems very strange to bypass God.
Well, the thing is, so when I talk to my team about this, everything rolls up to what they call the one source, the one force. That's the
Yeah.
energy, that's the entity in the universe, that's all powerful, all present, omnipresent, omnipotent. Now, a lot of people, humanity over the years has assigned like the term God to that energy. That's okay. You call it anything you want. But then humanity, when I talk to my team about it, they've assigned all sorts of human attributes to God, like a vengeful God or this or that. And that's where it's gone off the rails. So my team always says, you can pray to anybody you like. It actually all rolls up to the one source, the one force.
Yes,
So it's like not get twisted up with the terminology. And many times I've seen people have had visions. It's the Virgin Mary coming around. It's actually the one source, the one force, showing an image you're comfortable with. You're
there you
highly
go.
religious,
That makes sense.
and you won't respect it unless you see the Virgin Mary. So okay, one Virgin Mary coming up. It's the one source, the one force. I just
Yeah.
got a cold chill. So
Well,
that's
if you
something my
read,
team wants to get out there. So
it's if you read as a medium and you read people who were devout Catholics even, and they go to the other side, it's so much different than what man was telling them it was.
yeah, fortunately, unfortunately, it's a fact of life that humanity has really, muddied up the waters around what the Bible says, thousands of versions, thousands of interpretations, thousands of contributions. So yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. So
It's beautiful though, once you kind of not
sure.
to put a name even on it and just energetically connect. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that's just that one cautionary note, as I said, is that when people start going down that other rabbit hole with here's all the human characteristics assigned to God, like
Yeah,
you look at the world's religions around the world, right? A lot of wars have been fought over the definition of God and what God wants, and that it went off the rails. The one source, the one force, like went off the rails.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. But one thing I did get a hit once from a deceased loved one.
mhm.
They love you and they come around you, but they cannot change anything for you. They cannot, like people will pray to their mother to intercede. They can't really intercede. They can get higher ups to do it, but they're not allowed to.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% on that, that family members are still family members on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's angels and guides, I would say, do all the heavy lifting. Your
Yes.
guardian angels, your birth angels, the guides you're working with, they do all the heavy lifting in life. Family members can kind of, in a funny way, tug on their robes and say, a little help over here, clean up on aisle five, So family members don't get involved in directing your lives. Yeah.
Right. There's free will. Okay. Will the wealthy finally pay their fair share of taxes, especially churches?
Yeah, I do see a lot of that rolling out in 2025 and 2026. So what I see is kind of a stepped approach. In 2025, there'll be other new corporate minimum tax of like 15%. So
Oh,
the largest corporations are not paying any tax right now, will have a minimum tax rate. And then a year following that, you're going to see like mega churches. So they'll be paying taxes. So
right.
there'll be some sort of a cutoff. Like if the church is bringing in more than $1 million a year or something like that, there'll be a tax rate for it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do see that in like 2026 on the churches, 2025 starting on the corporations. Yeah.
Isn't it illegal though for churches to give their opinion on politics or tell you who to vote for? I thought there was already something on the books. No?
I'm not aware there's a law there. I mean, somebody might weigh in here after seeing this show, but I'm not aware there's a law there because it's practiced all the time, right?
Oh,
A lot of people talk about how their minister or their preacher or whatnot told them how to vote. So, I think
yeah.
it's ongoing right now. Yeah.
Um, but the churches, they're definitely, but you know that guy that not the one from Amazon, but another one, the one from the
Not
other,
Jeff Bezos, not Jeff Bezos. That's
no, but the
Amazon.
other one. I think he's Japanese or Chinese or something. He has an Asian look. Anyway, he had not paid any taxes for 5 years. For
Mhm.
5 years. Okay. All right. Will there be rain soon over eastern Oklahoma? It has not rained in 4 months and it's affecting our farm and cattle. We need rain.
By December. So what I get on that. By
You know, it's
December
so
this
funny you
year.
said that because there was a guy that I watched that I really like. He's a new one, a new weather guy. Because that one weather guy I liked, he said that the $700 they're giving you for a hurricane is a loan. And I looked it up on the FEMA and I highlighted the thing that said this is not a loan and sent it to him. And then he blocked me.
Okay.
But that's the truth. It's not a loan. So he was
No,
giving fake info.
Yeah, very true.
So I got this other weather guy, and the good news is there's a big, you should see it, it's going over Oklahoma and Texas, a big water storm. Not
Yep.
Armageddon, but enough to quench
Yeah,
the,
so it's coming. I get a very definitive by December they're going to have like the rainfall they need, and it could start up infrequently in November, but it looks like it's
yeah,
coming. It's
it's
coming.
heading
Yeah.
towards the middle of November, but like you said, it could even go through December. So, uh, okay. Will President Harris keep Merrick Garland as Attorney General?
I think we're just talking about that kind
We
of
were
is
just
like
talking
like
about
once the new term starts out, yeah, it'll just be a mutual exit, and
yeah.
then there'll be
Even if
another.
Biden was in there, I saw him giving his saying, I'm going.
Yeah, I think Merrick is tired.
I do too.
He's been in the line of sight for a lot of years here. Yeah.
With the newer, quicker DNA testing you recently spoke of, will high profile cases such as the Zodiac killer case finally be resolved?
100%. So that's what I call the new MVAC technology. I do things coming up every week, right? When I do a show, at the very end of the show, it says what's coming up. A week or two ago, my team was saying that there's a new DNA testing technology coming out. They'll start rapidly solving a lot of cases. Now, MVAC technology has been a technology. It was actually invented, I think, in the 60s or the 70s, but was expensive. The machines were like $45,000. The tests were like $95 a piece. But now what it looks like, they've been able to accelerate, lower the costs. So it's like there's another generation of MVAC technology coming out, and that's why they just solved the case recently. We put it on a hot off the press up on our community board. But yeah, this MVAC technology looks like it's going to swing a lot of cases now and solve a lot of cases.
Oh, that's wonderful. I was just watching, I watch those crime shows
Mm-hmm.
about that Manhattan killer from the 1970s and all those young women he killed, and how these poor police didn't have anything near DNA. And it was just, I mean, 30, 40 years went by before they finally solved it.
Wow, the case that we had up on our community board was a hot off the press. It was a 1970s case, I think, whether either the murder occurred in 69 or in the mid 70s. The murderer has been dead, I think, 3 decades, something like that. And so they actually still identify him. He's been dead a long time. So yeah.
Wow. Um, is it faster too to do it that way?
I know it's faster, but it actually is a vacuum technology. It's a handheld, they call it MVAC, but it's a handheld technology. We actually vacuum up microscopic particles from whatever you have, whatever piece of clothing you have, and then it's a rapid way to test it to identify the DNA. So yeah,
That's wonderful.
so great for law enforcement. Be great, great,
And
great.
even when they were talking about this killer, this guy that I'm watching, they were saying, now they have cameras everywhere you go. They didn't have that in those days.
Very true, very true.
Animals seem to be interacting more with humans than in the past, from killer whales that disable the rudder of boats, to other species that seek help from humans when they or another animal is in trouble. I've seen a lot of videos on that.
Mhm.
What is happening?
What I get on that is that humanity is becoming much more observant. So it's not the animals that are changing. Animals have always been highly evolved and of from the angelic realm, not angels, but
Yeah,
it's humanity now is becoming much more aware as the veil's thinning and all these things are happening. So not a change on the animal side, a change on the human side is what I get.
awesome. I'd like to know if murdered souls cross over the same way as people who die a natural death.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody has the same ticket to ride, so to speak.
Exactly.
And everybody has a soul plan and a blueprint and the exit. Yeah. So it's all one the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Will the US and other countries come to a stronger agreement regarding climate change, fossil fuels, and renewable energy?
Most of the world's nations and countries will. However, some of the largest offenders, Russia and China and parts of the Middle East, are going to drag their feet for actually many years here. I see like a big lag, 4 or 5 years for like Russia and China before they start kind of minimizing the way they're doing offloading greenhouse gases and things in the atmosphere. So,
Right.
but a lot of the world countries are going to come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, check.
Mhm.
If we inherit, let's say, a psychic ability, is this due to DNA or our previous lives?
I always get that's neither is the answer. I always get it's all part of the blueprint you agreed to come down here with. So it's like
Right.
there's like a punch list, and you say, I'm going to go down there. I'm agreeing to do these 12 things or these 20 things, and these are the tools that I need. And you agree, okay, if we give you those tools and you sign up for it, then they expect you to kind of fulfill. Now, it's interesting. We all come from large soul families, right? So
Right.
thousands of souls. Some soul families lean into, more spirituality or more psychic mediumship. That's true, but it's not a physical DNA or necessarily a prior lifetime. It's kind of what you design. I've always said it's what you design for this lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My granddaughter, who's an adult, would like to know what foods aliens eat.
A lot of laboratory grown substances, vegetables, high protein meats, high protein snacks, very evolved. And a lot of things that extraterrestrials eat actually contain like, I'll call like medications, but they're things that are like aligned to the person's body. So let's say ETs don't really have cholesterol problems, extraterrestrials, but if you had one, the food you would take in would actually be designed for you. So not only is it high protein, but it's also taking care of your metabolic side. So it's interesting. It's very highly designed food.
Is
Yeah.
it more liquid?
No, solids and liquids.
Okay.
Yeah. So think about like a protein bar on steroids, but
Okay.
it's completely designed for Linda Grindle.
But
So
do they get it out of like they plug it in and they get it out? I mean,
no,
do
no,
they
it's
sit
actually
down
that
for
there's
a
actually
family
there's
dinner?
actually commerce and distribution,
Okay.
for it. There's manufacturing of it. Yeah. But it would be like food that you eat is 100% designed for like Linda, you.
Right, right.
So yeah.
When will there be will it be announced on election night that Kamala Harris is the projected winner?
I don't get it's going to be the official announcement. I think people are gonna have insight and suspect that's the case. I see it's going to drag on for many days.
I feel like that we will know. Like, yeah, we're pretty sure, but I do feel they have to do something else. But everybody's going to know that night. Oh my God, it looks like Kamala won. When will there be an alternative to CPAP therapy that works for people who stop breathing when they are asleep?
That's already started. What I get around that is a lot of nanometer technology. So nanometer is micro semiconductor technology. A nanometer is like 1 billionth of a meter. It's very small. It's a fraction of the width of a human hair. But that nanometer technology being used for like semiconductors by Samsung and TSMC. There's more technology coming here. Think about there's a device on the market called Aspire that you actually implant
Oh
in
yeah,
your
I see the commercials for that.
yeah, so they implant a micro device into you, and then there's a remote that you use external to the body to activate it. But there's more of that coming, like tenfold. So there's now much smaller technology coming, nanometer technology coming over the next few years here that will help a lot of people. Yeah, it's coming.
Wow, that's great. Because they have to lug around those CPAP machines. That's a pain. Do you see anything coming up next week?
I do. So a couple of things here. I do see Israel getting a little more aggressive in the northern border with Lebanon. So it looks like there's some more activity going on with Lebanon, strikes into Lebanon. Um, I also see the DOJ taking a bold step out around Elon Musk and even
Oh,
45
good.
for some of the lottery stuff, the $1 million
Yes, they
lottery,
sent him a letter, but it was like a tap on like
exactly.
you
And
could be
I
in
looks
trouble.
it looks to me like coming up this week, the DOJ is going to take much more of an affirmative step and say, like a case or they're going to have to answer some federal, I'll call it a lawsuit, but a federal complaint. There's something going on here with that. Yeah, that's all coming up. I also see that we're in the last week before the election, no secret, but I see that a hard push by both candidates, but I do see an incremental uptick, whether it's 1% or something like that, or 1.5% for like likely voters for Harris. So it looks like you'll see a bit of an uptick, is what they're telling me.
Okay. So what about Madison Garden? Trump's
Don't
doing
know.
his
Oh,
best.
the event that's coming up.
Yeah.
What about it?
Nothing burger, any big deal?
Well, look, it looks to me like it'll take place, but
Yeah.
it's not going to move the needle. It won't
Okay,
move the
thank
needle in any significant way. Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you, oh, I wanted to tell you that President Biden did a speech yesterday about Elon Musk coming into this country illegally. He was supposed to go to school and he didn't go to school. He started working right away. So
Mhm.
he used a fake, I'm going to go to school at Stanford, and then turn around and started doing other projects. They're really going to look at him and probably take away any kind of federal contracts.
Yeah, I think he's got 1.5 or $1.8 billion contract with the federal government for various things. They're going to start looking at that very
They're going to
carefully.
start looking
He's
at that.
talking to Putin on a regular basis.
I
That's
know.
no secret. And Putin even came out in the press and said he thinks Elon Musk is a very smart individual and endorses him. So it's too cozy. Elon's gotten
Yeah.
too cozy. Yeah, with
He's
Putin now.
in cahoots with Putin because they
Absolutely.
really want JD Vance to run the show. But
Right.
they put up with Trump because he's a puppet.
Yep.
Do you have anything you guys want to share?
Yeah, real quickly for this week, it's just kind of remember that the reality we create around us is part of the thoughts that we put out to the world every day. So it's like be very conscious of all the thoughts you put out there, because that does in turn create the reality you experience. It's very subtle, but it's very powerful. So we,
Okay.
we actually do create our own reality. So watch your thoughts,
Watch
everybody.
your thoughts. Don't go into that fear factor. Everybody's like, oh my God, so and so said, blah, blah. I'm like, you know
Exactly.
what? You can believe me or not believe me. I tell you
Exactly.
what my guides say. If you need to go that direction, do it. But
Exactly.
remember, you got to have faith.
Right. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And so how do people contact you,
Yeah.
Mike?
So in closing, if you're new to this, if you're new to the shows that you and I do together, if anybody needs to reach me, they can go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab. It's very easy. I think there's dates available now in April, May, and June of next year, 2025. Yeah, and so it's very straightforward. And obviously, we have a YouTube channel, Sterling Psychic Medium, hundreds of instructional videos up there, and have a membership. Have a platinum membership. I do live streams on Fridays for members, and we answer a whole plethora of questions, personal questions, world questions, all sorts of things. So
I know I asked you my very first question. You just started the show and you answered me, probably because I got an inside scoop. But anyway, I said about those nosebleeds I was having. And you said take vitamin K, which I'd never taken. And I got some and I took it and I've never had a nosebleed since.
I remember that you were one of the first people on it. Oh, Linda Grindle has a question.
Yes, yes. And I keep missing
So
because
yeah,
I'm so doggone busy, but I
sure.
stay, I'm still a member, so I have that opportunity.
Oh, good. Well, we started that up because so many people, it was getting harder to book sessions. It's going further and further out. Some people had a simple question they want to answer. So this provides another vehicle for that,
That it's
right?
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So, all right, my
okay.
friend. It
All
was
right.
wonderful talking to you.
Great always getting
Bye, you
together and
guys.
see each other soon. Take care, everybody.